Hi everyone, welcome to this sequence where we're going to be looking at activating some of the muscles around the pelvis, around the hips, the hip stabilizers, also known as the glutes. In a yoga practice, quite often there's a lot of focus on building flexibility and obviously on strength as well, but we also want to look at how we can remain quite stable. And this is particularly helpful when we're coming into balancing. Okay. So for this practice, you'll need a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, then what you could do is use some books, but they need to be quite sturdy so that you can, you've got some support underneath your foot. You're not going to wobble around too much. Okay. So bring that over to one side. And to begin with, we're just going to stand with the feet about hip distance apart. And just take a few deep breaths in. Big inhale through the nose. Feel that kind of lift around the chest, a little bit of expanse around the rib cage, and then breathe inside that breath, out through the mouth. And again, deep breath in. And exhale all the way out. Standing tall. One more, big inhale. And exhale. Okay, now just bring the shoulders, roll them up towards the ears, roll them back and down. I'm going to do a few little raises where we're coming up onto the toes, the balls of the feet. So you're lifting the heels. And then you're going to drop the heels back down, bring the weight back towards them and lift the toes. When you lift the toes, see if you can spread them nice and wide so you feel a bit more weight going into the joint of the big toe. And then we'll come back up and then back towards the heels, and just do that a few times and just getting into the feet and where we feel the weight, and just waking up the soles of the feet there, going into the arches. Okay, one more big breath in as you come forward, lift the heels, and then exhale. Heels down, toes lifts. Okay, from here just go a little bit wider in your stance. You can turn your feet slightly out, so a bit wider than your own hips. And we're going to start to come down into a little bit of a squat. So like you would when you come into chair pose, you feel yourself going back and then down with the sit bones. And this can be really helpful when we do these squats to help you notice where there might be some instability. So my left leg is always a little bit less stable than my right, and if I don't think about what I'm doing as I come into this movement, the knee tends to kind of cave in like that, and that's an indication that there's some kind of inactivation around the hip stabilizers, around the glutes. Make sure you've got the tummy lifted here as you're coming down. Now start to make more of an effort of pressing out into the outer edges of the feet, and the knees are being pressed away from each other. And then so you can go a little bit deeper in this. Just going to do a couple more to warm up. Sitting right back. One more. Driving into the heels as you come up. Okay, now just bring that awareness back to the feet and have a look down. So we want to be able to pick our toes up and spread them nice and wide. Sometimes they're a bit stubborn. They don't always move the way we want them to. So just see if you can spread out like you would your fingers. And as you lift the toes, you'll notice the weight drops into that joint, the big toe joint. So we want to place that down, or press that down quite firmly. And you should feel an activation then around the arch of the foot, like a lifting through the arch. Okay, and then you can place the toes down. Notice if you have a tendency to kind of cave in on that arch, and if that's the case, just push out a little bit, going more towards the outer edges of the feet, but maintaining that arch. You're still trying to lift the arch of the foot. And just notice how much more kind of present and stable you feel within the legs, within the pelvis. Notice the tilt, your natural tilt of the pelvis. I tend to just bring the pelvis, the hip bones a little bit forward here. So just that lift of the lower belly. Don't tuck your tailbone under, but feel more that you're kind of reaching that down. And then let your shoulders come up, roll them back and down. And again, just take a few deep breaths here. It's really nice to kind of stand in this way and feel very kind of switched on through the body. The weight is evenly distributed through the feet. Nice deep breaths in. Exhaling back out. See if you can breathe through the nose now. Okay, and one more. Again, let that breath expand around the lower ribs and exhale all the way out. Navel to spine. Okay, now we're going to come onto this block or your books, whatever you've managed to pick up from there. And I'm going to get you to bring your right foot onto here. So that's going to be your standing leg. So make sure your foot is on there, especially around the heel, and again that big toe joint, you're able to connect down. So as you lift up, do that same thing where you're spreading the toes nice and wide, pressing into the big toe joint and into the heel, so you're maintaining that arch in the foot. Bring your hands either by the sides, or we're going to bring them onto the hips, and just allow this leg, this left leg, to swing back and forward. So I'm not mirroring you, so it'll look like we're on the opposite side on the video. Okay, so make sure you right leg on the block, left leg is the one that's just relaxing there. And we're really beginning to stabilise now. The muscles are working to help you stay nice and stable on this right side, and we're starting to release any kind of held tension now on that left side, so give that leg a little bit of a shake. Okay, from here I'm going to take a nice big breath in, and we're going to lift that knee up to about hip height, and then exhale, just bring that leg back down, and again inhale and exhale, keeping the tummy drawn in. Okay, let's do two more. And last one. And exhale. Okay, now just let that leg come around the front and then bring it around the back. So there's a little bit of movement now. You might have to bend that supporting right knee, bring the arms into a position where it kind of helps you to balance there. We're sweeping this left leg in front, almost like you're going to go into eagle pose, and then exhales. If you're going to come into a little seated twist, take that leg behind you. You should find that this leg is really kind of switching on. Now the right side might start to ache a little bit. Okay. All right, and just one more, and then we're going to come off this block and switch to this other side. Okay, so we'll come down, give that standing leg a little bit of a shake, and then we'll go to the opposite side. If you are very wobbly here, then obviously if you're near a wall, you can always keep your hand onto a wall and do these there if you do struggle with stability. All right, so left foot is coming on here. Spread the toes nice and wide. Press down through the heel. Pull up through that arch of the foot so you feel the leg is nice and stable. The weight is evenly distributed there. Okay, hands maybe here on the pelvis. And then just let this leg swing, right leg. So as I mentioned before, I'm a lot less stable on my left side. So you're probably going to experience that as well. You have to usually work a little bit harder through one side of the body than the other. Okay, let this leg relax. And then breathe in and bring the knee up to about hip height. And then exhale, extend it down. Inhale. Keeping that belly lifted. Exhale, keep going. Okay, and we'll do two more. And last one. Okay, and just maybe have a little bend then in that supporting leg as you bring the leg around, and then we take it back. And we bring it around, and you can make it a little bit of a sort of bigger movement, like you're actually going to go into a seated twist, like you're actually going to come into eagle pose there, whatever you feel you can do where you're still able to support yourself on this block. A little wobble there. Okay, nearly there. We'll do a couple more on this side and then we'll come down. Okay, and then one more. Alright, and then we'll come down off the block. We're going to come back to this in a moment, just bring it to one side. Keep your feet there, maybe just give that leg a little shake, and then feet in line with the pelvis. Take a nice big deep breath in. Reach the arms up. As you exhale, have that little bend in the knees. Exhale, hinge more. So we hinge at the pelvis and then come down. Lift the lower belly. We'll inhale, lengthen out of your lower back, and then exhale. If you need to bend the knees here or put your hands onto blocks for a bit of support, then do that. And just feel a little bit of a stretch there around the back of the legs, back of the hips. And we'll take a few deep breaths. Okay, one more. Right, and then have that little bend in the knees. Roll up to stand, come all the way out, roll the shoulders back. We're going to come back to the block now. Just do a couple more things on the block. So come back to putting your right foot onto that block. Okay, we'll come back onto that right side. Okay, finding your balance here again, spread the toes nice and wide on that foot, pull up through the arch. Okay, we're just going to bring this leg now to about hip height there. So you're welcome to stay here, or we're going to extend that leg back. So I'm going to turn this way so you get a little bit of a better view of the leg. So inhale as the knee comes up. As you exhale, maybe keep the hands onto the pelvis and start to extend that leg behind you. Inhale to lift. You turn the foot slightly out there on that left foot. So heel draws in and then the toes are slightly out. If you want to bring the hands by the side, you can. Maybe take the hands into a little prayer position. So it's like you're coming into a warrior three. One more, big breath in. And exhale. Now just see if we can extend that leg nice and long behind you. Lift out of that supporting leg now. Really draw the belly in. Hip bones nice and level. Maybe just a slight turn might help in that left foot. Lots and lots of breath. Navel to spine. Okay, and then release. And then just come forward. That foot is on that little angle there. Standing tall. Okay, and then we're going to place that leg down. Same on the opposite side, so we'll bring the block over, left foot onto here. And find your balance so you're nice and steady. And then bring that knee to hip height. And again, stay here. Or we can start to, and it can be a really small movement. You just bring the leg back a little bit there. Inhale, back up. You can go a little bit more further back. And again. And just feeling your way into this. Take your time. Don't worry if you wobble. And keep trying to keep that support and stability through that left leg. You can feel that leg working really hard now. Okay, and this one we're going to hold, so a big breath in. You can hold here, part way back, or exhale and extend that leg back. Pelvis nice and level, maybe turn the toes out slightly on that right leg. Squeeze the belly in. Deep breaths. Again, you should feel those muscles and starting to engage and switch on. Okay, and then come all the way back, and we'll bring that leg down and just give your legs a little bit of a shake. Okay, bring the block over to one side. Take a big breath in again, feet under the hips. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, slight bend in the knees. Like you're diving forward, scoop up the lower belly. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale to fold, and again you're folding towards these legs. And we'll take 2 more deep breaths here. Okay, and then from there, just bring yourself back into child's pose. So bring the knees down, a little bit widen the hips and fold in half. So you're bringing your head down between your arms and reaching the pelvis back towards the heels. Okay, and then let your hands walk back from there, so we're sat back, and then just come around. We'll do a little stretch and release for the hips. So we're going to take the right ankle and bring it just above the left knee. You can always sit back against a wall there for a bit of support. We want to draw that right knee away from the chest. Roll the shoulders back. You can lie down on your back and do this one if that works better for you. Feel the weight is nice and even through your seat, and you're trying to move that right knee away from the chest, toes draw back towards the knee. Keep the chest nice and lifted. And 2 more deep breaths. Okay, and then we'll release that leg, opposite side. And just to release these hip stabilizers, bring that ankle just above the knee, move the knee away from the chest, roll the shoulders back, hands behind for support, big breath in, lengthen the spine, exhale, move that left knee away. Okay, and one more deep breath in and out. Okay, and then release. Now bring the soles of the feet together and just allow yourself to come forward. So there's a little bit of space and distance between the pelvis and the feet, like this sort of diamond shape there. You can always place your feet onto a block if that works for you. Come back a little bit there with your seat, and then deep breath in, lengthen out of your lower back. Just let the arms rest down where they will. Tuck your chin, folding forward, navel to spine. Okay, and slowly draw the tummy in first. You come up nice and safe, coming all the way up, big breath in, roll the shoulders up, and then exhale, all the way. Okay, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. That's a really useful sequence to do, perhaps before a yoga practice, or if you have been sat for a long time and you feel that those glute muscles are switched off and need some activation, it's a good one to do. Thank you for watching. Namaste.